Welcome to the Creative AI Show, where we're two creative guys talking AI. And we are still two creative guys today, but I don't have my usual co host, Rosh. He's out of town on vacation, so we hope him and his family are having a great time. However, I did bring, if not Rosh, I like to say the next best thing, good friend of mine, Corbin Bell of Technifirma. Corbin, how you doing today?
I'm good. Brian, how are you? Just looking forward to digging into some AI.
Yes, absolutely. I know, we're kindred souls in the fact that I think in November of 22, we looked at each other from across the room in our business networking group, and I think we both knew that we had a little bit of a secret of what was
Hmm.
coming in the world by starting to dabble early in the world of AI and,
For sure.
use it for our respective, career paths and everything. So I'm really excited to dig in with you. I loved the meeting that we had a few weeks ago where we talked about some really high-end stuff that you're developing for your clients, high-end solutions using AI. So we'll dig into that in just a bit. I do want to get everyone caught up on just some of the latest updates in the world of AI. Now, forgive me if I don't do this as well as Rosh, who does it every single week, but we got some updates here. So first of all, Anthropic has made some really, really big news with Claude's Mythos. Maybe getting into a little trouble, maybe a little bit of good trouble, a little bit of bad trouble with finding software vulnerabilities really quick, enough to raise concerns at the White House. And then they actually led forth a project called Project Glasswing, where when you're involving companies like IBM and Amazon and Microsoft and ones, from across the aisle here together for the greater good, I'm for it. Hopefully, the adults are in the room. Corbin, not to call you up, but have you heard anything about Project Glasswing?
You know what? I haven't yet. I know that there was some development of some cybersecurity
Mhm.
models and some of the products also over at OpenAI, but
Yes.
I haven't gotten into Glasswing a lot.
Yeah, Glasswing is hopefully going to be, a conglomeration of all this. Hopefully, the adults in the room regulating this, because we
Yeah,
both
I
have
certainly hope so.
realistic. Yeah, exactly. We hope we both have realistic mindsets where we're optimistic about this technology, but hopefully the wheels stay on. So yes, GPT 5.4 Cyber, which you just alluded to with OpenAI, is now pushing their defensive cybersecurity variant of GPT 5.4, which again 5.4 I love. I really think it was a big step forward for OpenAI AI and
Agreed.
ChatGPT in general. You would agree, yeah. Meta AI just announced Muse Spark, which they're saying is its most powerful model yet. It's going to be rolled out across everywhere: WhatsApp, Instagram, Facebook, Messenger, even their AI glasses. I've used some of Meta's AI stuff, selfishly in the social media world for creating, and it's middle of the road. Is it anything you've dabbled with before?
You know what? It was all I think I took a look at it when it first came out. It seemed very novel. It was the kind of thing that actually reminded me of God, what was it? OpenAI's computer when it first launched, and there
Hmm.
was all of this energy around about, how it can use its own heads and
Right.
do all of this interactive stuff. And the reality was that it was extremely limited. It was more of a sort of a gadget and just sort of a novelty at that point.
Yeah.
The development is fast. We're definitely going hyperbolic here.
Yeah.
And I'm sure that what was once novel is going to become mainline very soon. But
Yeah.
yeah, I've stayed away from some of the stuff for the time being, only because I'm so busy with the actual development with some of the other
Doing
LLMs.
the real work, right? Yeah,
Yeah,
you're
exactly.
leading the curve here, so I'm excited to chat about that. So, otherwise, in I don't know, have you ever used Fall.ai, FAL.ai? They host all the latest like image to video or prompt to video or anything like that. Latest models. So
I, you know, there are so many out there that are just springing up, and
yeah,
it's just I mean it seems like a few a day that are coming online. Obviously they're going to be shaved away as the main players start to scuttle the smaller guys away. But no, I mean there's hundreds at this point. I
yeah.
haven't used Fall, but I did
Hugging
play with some
Face,
other. Was
Hugging
that?
Face Hugging Face is
Yeah.
another big known one. Yeah.
Yeah, and I did play with some of the other image to video and prompt to
Mhm.
video, trying to essentially make with like scenes from movies play out
Right.
differently, and which it was fun. But I mean, there's just so many,
Yeah.
so many models.
And that's kind of the goal of our YouTube channel is, whenever these models have new updates, we have certain, gold standards that we press them and try to do with certain prompts and see where they're
Hmm.
doing, see how they're doing on Rube Goldberg, types
Yeah,
of physics things or
see if
sports
you can break them.
physics.
right?
Right. Yeah, oh, yeah, yeah. We break every one of them real quick. And none of
Right,
them are quite
right.
there yet. This week we had new updates from Nucleus Image. So Nucleus is a brand new company up to itself. And we did some text to image testing. A couple of things Rosh and I like to do is test to see if it'll actually produce a glass with the water or liquid all the way to the top, which it never
Oh,
really
wow.
does, or
That's
to
pretty
have the
cool.
clock in the background be the right time.
That's awesome.
So these are the, simple kind of what
Right,
can we
little
break these
battery,
things? Yeah.
right, little acid test.
So, spoiler alert, Nucleus failed all of those. Ernie Image did okay. Ernie is made by Badu. HeyGen version 3 has a new video agent that's out. And LTX 2.3, which is another one of those image to video producers, is, hey, I got a bunch new reference to video ones out right now. So, a couple new things cooking in the world over there. So, nothing too fun. Nothing in the big, name ones like, say, Kling or Google, Veo, things like that. So we're waiting on those to be updated because those are really the heavy hitters. So, but all right.
Yeah, I
So
mean,
speaking, oh god,
thank God you guys are doing this podcast. I mean, we need someone to keep this stuff straight for us because it's just, I mean, it's like walking into a Disneyland
yeah,
that every single day there's a new ride. And it's just, how do you even, you walk away for a week and you come back and there's a whole new section of the park that you have to figure
right,
out. And we need
yeah.
someone to parse through this information and give it to us in a way that we can understand it.
Well, yeah, let us spend the credits so you guys don't have to. And, our
Exactly.
videos are all, 7 to 15 minutes. We show you quick examples, how-tos, comparisons. So, yeah, we appreciate that shout out there, Corbin. So, all right, well, speaking of Corbin, I want to give you a little more background information so you guys know who you're listening to here, because in my opinion, he's kind of a big deal. He's a technological leader, around my group for sure, an entrepreneur, a programmer, roots going back all the way back, to the early 80s. His tech love started after seeing War Games, which again, I've seen too many memes lately with War Games referenced in a scary way. Am I right?
Yeah,
But
absolutely.
and
I
then
don't
he
think
linked
people
his.
understand how real it is.
Yes, exactly. Yeah, and it's happening way too fast. But yeah, he linked his Commodore computer to his uncle's computer 5 doors away, and he made his first little internet. From 1998 to 2000, he was a managed he managed technology. My apologies, for Sony Pictures Online. So big names here: Columbia TriStar, major growth period for him. And then from 2000 all the way to 22, he led a company focused on wireless streaming, guiding it through more than 20 years of change, software, infrastructure, connected systems. And this is where we find him today. In 2024, he founded Technifirma, which is, again, is an awesome company name. I'm a big fan of that. Focusing on managed service and technology consulting, and not just technology consulting, but made a big step towards, software development solutions for your clients. So, a lot of forward thinking mindsets going on here. So yeah, Corbin, we're thrilled to have you here today. Anything else you want to fill in on your background there? Maybe I didn't touch on.
Yeah, no, thank you for that great intro. Just to correct some of the dates, we got a two in the wrong place. So it was actually 2004 that I started the company. So for 2 years now,
Yeah.
we've had the managed service provider, and in like just like you, 2022, I would say, is when we really started delving into AI and seeing what we could do, and it's just it's completely taken off crazy, and it's terrifying. It's beautiful, it's exciting, it's
Right.
terrifying. Sometimes I get knots in my stomach thinking about what this could do in the wrong hands, or
Mhm.
what could happen even in the right ones, and it's amazing.
So, yeah, I mean, again, trying to be an optimist, and kind of, the goal and the ethos of this show is to show people this technology in a collaborative way, not a let's have a 400 employee company and then, get rid of 350 people and produce the
Mhm.
same with 50. No, let's have a
Right,
400-person company, keep it at 400 and 50x your output.
right,
That's the
yeah,
mindset is, how are we going to combine with this tool? So, all right, Corbin, you've
absolutely.
been programming since like the 80s and 90s. Honestly, your first impression of using AI as a partner compared to maybe any other major technological shifts we've seen in the past?
um wow, AI is akin to what I would consider one of the one of the great inventions, developments of all time of human civilization. I mean,
Hmm.
it has it has completely changed the face of pretty much everything we're going to do as a society. But as far as programming and technology, I mean, I remember, like you had said, the first thing I did was put two computers together. I could see the letters coming up one at a time as my uncle wrote a message to me,
Yeah.
and it was, just an unbelievable moment. That was, a friend of mine referred to that as the War Games moment when I was telling him some other stuff. The next one was probably the adoption of the internet when
Yeah.
in 1991, I was a consultant for the B school at Michigan, and I sat down next to someone who had already been using it. And I said, "Hey, so what's all the hubbub about the internet?" And he said, "Well, give me a site that you want to go to." And I said, "Okay, like Levi's." And he goes, "Okay, we'll go to www.levis.com." And I thought to myself, I looked at him and I thought, how have you memorized every
Yeah.
website that they're
Right.
not realizing that there's a template that you use? And I punched it in and and I saw the 501 logo come up. And I was just, I mean,
Yeah.
that was another War Games moment that I was like, 9 years later, I was just in awe of all of this and come through to probably actually to tell you the truth, the other day I adopted into one of the apps that I'm creating, I adopted a custom chat GBT. I mean, it was a backend API that folds into codecs and 5.4 and some of the other models, some of the faster
Mhm.
models. You can pick your model. And I asked it a question and it knew the entire we did a vector-based index knowledge base. So I essentially ingested an entire knowledge base into its system that it then
Right.
could use. And it came online, and I said, can you tell us where we are? And it said exactly where we are in the app. And that scene from Frankenstein where he goes, "It's alive!" I'm like,
Yeah. Exactly.
that was,
Yeah.
and I was telling a friend of mine about it, and he said, "This is a War Games moment for you, isn't it?" And
Yeah.
I said, "Yes, this is a War Games moment. Like, we don't go back from here. This is happening, and it is actually absolutely monumental. Um, so I mean, it's amazing. This is, what it allows us to do is beyond imagination yet.
Yeah. No, I always explain it as, as us as a creative agency, our ceiling just went up 4 stories, like
There is no ceiling.
yeah, there's no longer a ceiling, right? We can
Yeah.
make anything that the client even thinks of. I'm talking with somebody right now who's potentially in a like an automotive moving company, and they're called Pigeon. And he's like, "Listen, I don't want to be the face of the company." I'm like, "How about I just animate you a talking pigeon?" And
Hmm.
he's like, "Yeah." And I'm like, "I can do this." Now before
Yeah.
I'd have to hire an animator, I'd have to bring
And
in
you
all
can
sorts
do
of
it
talent.
by
Yeah.
the end of the day. You'll
Right.
have it ready for him by the end of the day.
I can have an example ready for him going into the meeting to sell him on it by already seeing it without
That's
having
right.
to fork over 5 grand in creative to get it going?
Yeah.
So, I mean,
It's AI is absolutely amazing for fast prototyping and just,
yeah,
bringing that stuff up, at least online as a proof of concept. There's no
yes.
equal.
Yeah, no, I mean, it's a complete paradigm shift to the point where, I did 2 speaking events this past week on AI, Corbin, and the quantity of times that I said, just ask it, is
Hmm.
probably 20 to 30 times
It's
because
crazy.
it's a mindset that people need to be completely changed of with this
Hmm.
technology. It's the first time ever we've been given a tool that's so excited to teach us how to use it just based
That's
on
right.
anything we could think of. Think a
The-
calculator, an iPad, a laptop or anything. They never came with this much instruction of how to do it. Somebody asked me, how do you set up a local LLM, which is what you were just referencing before,
hmm.
having a system, localized where it's
Yeah.
ingesting its
Your
own
own neural net
information.
in-house.
Yeah, and I'm like, you know what? I'm not sure, but it's a perfect thing to ask ChatGPT 5.4 and get that conversation started.
It's the craziest thing that
Yeah.
one of the most powerful prompts that you can provide is to simply ask it what it needs from you.
Yes. Yeah, give me a
And
list. Right.
yeah, and if to help it do its job, a lot of people think it's almost like AI 2.0. AI 1.0 was like, us asking the AI questions and then giving it back because most of the public treat it as though it's a search engine.
Right.
But when you realize it's an integrated collaborative tool that you should talk to like a team member, and just like
Yes.
if you were to talk to, if I were to do a development project with you and I were to say, what do you need to work best with me?
Right.
How do you see this going? You should ask the AI the exact same thing, and it will literally tell you. It will just lay out what it needs. You
Yeah.
gather information and give it to it, and you guys are off and running.
Unbelievable. Yeah. So this actually leads into my next question perfectly. So, Corbin, when a new client comes to Technifirma, say with a unique problem, how has AI changed the way you brainstorm or build solutions or, make prototypes or anything?
So the interesting thing about AI is it is an amazing it's an amazing tool for fast prototyping, research, scaffolding, um, creating options and paths that you can choose. It still needs the human touch. It still
Right.
needs someone to decide what is going to be the decision, but it essentially is able to, you know, go through the weeds. It's able to siphon through all of the data and churn through everything to be able to narrow down what you really need to see, what is
Yep.
really useful information. And so when a client comes to me and says, "This is what I want to do," I work with the AI to identify the pitfalls, the opportunities,
Right. It's a lot
options
of
that we
noise.
may have,
Yeah.
and it fast prototypes it options for me. It fast prototypes and tells me, what I may not have even thought of. It's a sounding board. It's an ear. It provides a. I mean, the great thing about AI is that it ingests large language. It ingests so much contextual data for whatever we're doing that it gives you things that you may not necessarily thought of. It's not like it's inventing things, but it simply is a great tool for going over the options. So that's what it does. I mean, it really sort of lays out all of the cards on the table and then says, okay, now pick the best one. And then I can
Yes.
say, oh yeah, you know what? I was thinking of the first 12, but I forgot about these other eight, or I wasn't going to think about them. Thanks for bringing them to the table. And I may pick one of those. So it's really good at being that sounding board and for offering the options. The fair warning is that it should not be the authoritative source in your conversation. That
Right.
if an AI says, this is what it does, or if an AI says that this is what you should do, you have to take that with a grain of salt. There are definitely certain elements missing from its reasoning engines,
Hmm.
and a lot of that has to do with the funny enough, I mean, they're built on weights, but the weights of why you would do something are not always a part of its computations. And so you have to think to yourself, it gave me the how, it gave me the what. I'm going to decide on the why. But that's what it's really good at. It's good at scaffolding, fast prototyping, and creating options through research.
Yeah. No, I agree. And you can't, like you were saying, with the quantity of information you can dump on it, you can't overwhelm these things with
Not at all.
information. And
Yeah.
a fun hack and something that Rosh, my partner in this, does sometimes, and I've started to do this, is say he's got to commute to his office each day. He'll pull up the conversation mode from ChatGPT and plan out his day with a sounding board of his ChatGPT partner. And then when he
It's
gets
great.
in and logs into ChatGPT for the day, he's already got action steps 1 through 10 ready to
Totally.
go.
That's perfect. It's a great assistant. It's a great
Yeah.
assistant.
Yeah,
Yeah.
exactly. Yeah,
It should make decisions, but
right.
it's great at offering the options.
Yes. So, and then also, being a creative, whether this means, writing music or lyrics or writing copywriting or starting with a new graphic, there's that empty page fear. You know what I mean? Where
Oh,
the creatives,
absolutely.
when you stare at the blank page and
Mhm.
just nothing's coming out. And AI can completely eliminate that blank page hesitation of getting work
Mhm.
done. It's all right, give me
S-
20 ideas in this direction, and then
So,
boom, you pick something and run with it.
and I love that you said that. And this is not only one of the most brilliant things about AI, but also one of the most dangerous things about AI is that it will give you that lump of clay. It will, if
Mhm.
you are sitting at the wheel, sitting at the page, or whatever analogy you want to use, it will throw the clay down for you and it will even start helping you mold it. But the problem inherent with AI is that you have hallucination, you have false confidence, you have, um, and it's very, very confident in all of its wrong conclusions that it comes to.
Yes.
And you have to be very careful that, and this is where the expertise comes in, you have to be able to separate the chaff from the wheat and know what's hallucination, what's real, what's not real, and where you want to take it. It will, like you said, that blank page problem, it will allow you to overcome it. But the question is, are you good at what you do? or are you letting the AI
Yeah.
make it look like you're good at what you do? And that will become very clear very fast, because how that clump of clay gets molded will be dictated by one of those two things. It will become this beautiful masterpiece if you are using the AI as the tool, and
Mhm.
it will become this monster if you use the AI as an authority, pretending to be human.
Right. Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, you've got to be steering the ship still. I mean, I can ask for
Absolutely.
10 pictures of cute cats or something, and it can give me 10, but until I look at all 10 of them and decide, no, image number 4 is the best one, I'm,
Right.
still driving, right?
Right. Because image number 5 has 3 arms, right?
Exactly, right. But the
Right.
AI thinks it's great because it produced it. So, all right. Well, then actually, this wonderfully again leads to my next question. Do you feel AI makes great programmers more or less valuable?
So I love this. I love this question too, because this goes to the thin line that we walk
Hmm.
between tool and operator.
Right.
Um, it is the difference between, so I've coded my whole life. I've gone in and out of code. Yeah, I started with Commodore Basic, if you can believe that. Like the first software that I programmed when I was 11, it was a linear link database, which is basically an ASCII based system that just writes strings, and then you have the search, basically the search module. It looks for where your string is found, and then makes matches based upon keys and values. And then I moved into Pascal when I was in college, did a little bit of C++. When I, later on moved into Python, JavaScript, and so forth. And now I do a lot of JS and React.
Okay.
Um, but the 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 thing about it is that coding is, sorry, I'm trying to figure out how to say this. Coding is a very it's something that you earn the love of doing, because it is so laborious and it is so syntactically um unforgiving.
Yeah. It's
You
got
have
to
a
be
period in the
perfect.
wrong
Your code's
place.
got to be just
You have a
right, or
comma
yeah.
in the wrong way. You could have a million lines of code, and one semicolon could crash the whole system. And because of that, AI is able to go through syntax incredibly fast, look at an entire code base incredibly fast, and take out all the problems that the labor we had to do in the olden days, quote unquote. That's what AI is great at. However, because of that, I don't necessarily actually, when I develop software now, I'm not developing it as a coder anymore. I'm developing it as an orchestrator. I
Yes,
am really
the director.
using, right, I'm a director. So I think of it like, John Williams. If he wants to create this beautiful piece of music, he may not know how the violinist plays the violin, or
Right.
the oboe player plays the oboe. What he knows is how the music sounds. He knows how he wants it to sound. He knows how to get the sound out of the instruments. And because of that, he makes this unbelievable piece of art through music, through the orchestration of it. And one of the things I've been having sort of this existential problem for the last year, because I feel like I'm cheating when
Hmm.
I'm using AI to code, because I'm not actually coding anymore. I'm orchestrating. And once I landed on that term, I realized, okay, I'm not cheating, because I'm not actually coding. So stop saying I'm coding. I'm actually orchestrating these tools. That said, you have to know how APIs go together. You have to know how databases work. You have to know how hosting works. You have to know the intricacies between the different modules and how all of this stuff goes together in
Right.
order to make it work. Back to your original question, the AI is like you're a Marvel fan, right?
Yeah.
Iron Man, Spider-Man. There's a great quote in Homecoming, where Iron Man is Spider-Man is having this existential problem, or he just tried to do something and he screwed up, and Iron Man flies in and says, gives him a reaming, and says, "I need the suit." And Spider-Man says, I can't give you the suit. I'm nothing without the suit." And Iron Man said, or Tony Stark says, "If you're nothing without the suit, you don't deserve to have it,
Yeah.
right? Or you
Great.
shouldn't have it," whatever the line is. AI is the suit. The AI is our Iron Man suit. It's our Spider-Man suit. It makes great coders amazing, and it makes bad coders even worse. And the reality is that this tool, in the hands of a good orchestrator, of a great orchestrator, can make symphonies of software. But in a person who is using it to try to hide their inabilities or their inadequacies, or they're just
Right.
trying to get that huge clump of clay down on the platter, so that they can, make what looks like software, is really in for a hard awakening, because that piece of software is going to either malfunction or be completely destructive or have bugs or create software vulnerabilities, from a security standpoint, or do something God knows, outside of the realm of expectation. Um, it, it it's the suit. It makes good coders great, and it makes bad coders awful.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, being a basic musician, I love that analogy because it's like, hey, I play guitar and I stay very much within my lane. I couldn't
Mhm.
step up and direct a whole symphony right now. So it's like I would be that person trying to fake it till I make it, and it becomes glaringly obvious if I were to try to do something over my head there. So yeah, no,
Yeah.
absolutely. I feel like it's, taking talented people like you who've already spent the years, the decades earning it, and then it's like giving you a Ferrari, being like, all right, how far are you going to get in a day? Now that
Mhm.
you've earned how to drive a race car, and you've learned for
R-
years and years, but now you've been given this tool. Now you're quite literally, pun intended, off to the races. So no, that's
Yeah, it
incredible.
doesn't make good coders great. Sorry,
Yeah,
it doesn't make, and I actually even said that, I even said that a little not totally accurate. What it does is it makes great coders extremely fast. It makes great coders extremely efficient. It makes
perfect.
great coders the ability to churn through uh, code. I mean, I've done some projects that would have taken, like a year ago, it would have taken a team of 10 a year to make, and I've done it in 6 weeks by myself. And it's the kind of thing, it just gives you, it's like this atomic power that gives you the ability to go at, like an afterburner speed. But if someone thinks that they're going to take it and all of a sudden just kind of like have this matrix dump where they're going to stick the AI and they're going to be able to do everything, they're
Yeah.
going to get into trouble.
Well, I'm actually going to forego my last question for you and double down in this direction because we had a
Yeah.
great conversation a couple weeks ago, and honestly, you kind of blew me away by letting me know still the quantity of work that was required to get this system going. Forgive my naivety and naivety, however you'd say that word, and that you just put a prompt into AI and it's off to the races making a program. But no, you're actively holding its hand and working its way through the process. So
Oh
just
yeah.
for your last question here today, I just kind of want to open it up so you could talk a bit about the project that you did with Kenny, and using AI, and even give a little plug to your software solution in case anybody listening wants to contact you and look for a customized software solution. But maybe just kind of peel back a little bit the layer of what it is you did there, how AI helped, and everything in that direction.
So I have a so I have a client who, you don't think he wouldn't mind if we said his name,
No,
right?
he wouldn't mind at all.
Certified,
Kenny's a good friend of mine too, so I can say, hey,
yeah,
Kenny, we talked about
certified
you on the show. Yeah.
certified automobile appraisal. And it's funny, I never really thought that, one of my big first projects with this kind of development platform is going to be, from an automotive
Right.
appraisal. I mean, it's like the seemingly the most random things, but yet the thing that the power that we've been able to put in his hands. He and his team were doing manual appraisals, and they would take, I don't know, 45 minutes to do one of these appraisals. And one day I asked him, now this comes with the qualification that we've been trying to do this for 2 years.
Okay.
2 years
Yeah.
ago, I had an employee of mine that was actually trying to code this for him, and he
Right.
couldn't get anywhere. And we were just, some of the tools that we were working, were just not up to snuff. But 2 years later, now we have certain, elements of AI and language models, for especially things like Sonnet and Opus. At the time,
Hmm.
we were, I mean, when we started, it was Opus 4.6, which seems like a year ago, and
Right.
now we're at 4.7. It's only been, I think, less than 2 months. But I basically just asked him, how do you, what are the engines that you are using? And he said, well, we go to cars.com, and we go to,
Auto Trader and all those
Auto
guys.
Trader, exactly, to get some of this information, and then we, build the PDF and we do other stuff. I said, I think I think I can automate some of this stuff for you. And so he said, okay, so I did a proof of concept within about 48 hours. Again, one of the beautiful things about AI is just
Yeah,
fast prototyping. And I had it down and I showed him, and he like basically dropped the phone and was like, "Oh my God, this is crazy. What else can you do with this?"
yeah,
And I said, "Well, let's see." And so that was about, I don't know, 6 to 8 weeks ago. We've built we've built a fully robust I mean it's an entire management platform for his whole company now. And I think we have his I think the last time we timed it, it was like 38 seconds. We took him down from
unbelievable.
45 minutes to 38 seconds to do a full blown, and I'm talking about full research
Yeah,
nationwide, vehicle
that's
searches,
60x
and
on efficiency right there. That's
oh,
incredible.
it's
Yeah,
yeah,
that's
it's
insane.
crazy.
Yeah,
And not only that, but we could put, we could, because of this, we actually have the capability now. We have the he can hire 10 people very
yeah,
easily, train them on the software, and they could be doing 10 times the volume at 60 times the efficiency. I
right.
mean, you're talking about, I think I did the calculations, and if we put 10 agentic models in place, we could probably do what comes down to about 700 an hour, 700 uh, appraisals an hour. And so we're launching the software. We're going to be taking it to the public, because it's just been so effective and so successful in helping him that we're actually going to roll this out now to other companies and help them do the same thing. But the efficiency and the power, of these tools is just remarkable, and what it allows us to do is mind blowing.
Yeah, just think about that. You were able to revolutionize an industry with new AI technology now that didn't exist 1.5, 2 years ago. I mean, maybe you could have pulled it off, but it would have required so much more time, such a level of proficiency to, to have
Yeah,
pulled it off. And now to have the tools to get you there that much faster, that's
yeah.
such an awesome practical use and solution. And I love what Kenny did instead of firing his two other guys and saying, I'm gonna make all this money
Oh
myself.
no,
He goes,
yeah.
no, 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 I'm doubling down and doubling the size of my company. I'm hiring two more people
Oh, he's
and
not
let's
just doing
go.
that.
Yeah,
Yeah, he's actually not only building his company up, there's some estimate by either US News or something. There's only 10% of the market that
hmm,
actually takes advantage of his services, in that
right,
most people don't know that his services exist. He said there's so much business that the idea of competition is a non-concern. He wants to take the software and go and share it with companies all over the nation
right.
and get this out there and make it so that they can get a bigger market share, aggregate across all of the companies that do this, to get
Incredible.
more and more people to get a fair reimbursement for their vehicles. But the software that we built, I mean, this is not, it started out as an appliance. Basically, he would plug in a VIN, and it would do some stuff, and then it just became an entire platform. I mean, the code base is now north of 10,000
Yes.
files. It's more than 1 million lines of code. And I mean, the ingestion that we do it's all automatic. The information that we can get from all over the web is like literally a 2 or 3 button clicks that he used to have to go scrape by himself and, manually. And so this platform, it's not just made for this vertical. It's actually, and we can talk about this maybe maybe another time, but
Yeah.
the platform itself is capable of crossing horizontal into other industries as well.
Yeah.
So we're
Absolutely.
we're
Keep it
going to do
open for
that.
that.
Yeah, yeah. So we're going to do that as well, and then we're going to use a lot of the scaffolding for other projects that can use the same kind of search capabilities and the tools to be able to automate a lot of stuff that people just are simply doing manually right now.
Oh, fantastic. Well, just remember me as one of the little guys when you guys make it big
Oh yeah,
and
yeah.
get this,
You'll be right
going
there with me.
national and everything. So,
Yeah.
anything else you want to follow up on that, Corbin? Otherwise, I think we've hit our time for the day.
Yeah, no, I think the show is great. I mean, I think you've absolutely taken the bull by the horns, obviously, and with this, and have provided a great service to people who find this completely bewildering, which is
Right.
even most tech, minds still are overwhelmed with the amount of information. And because it's AI, it's building itself, frankly, we
Yeah.
need someone that can parse through this information, that can narrow it down so that we can at least wrap our heads around it for 5 minutes. And so that's why we look to you to do this. And it's a great show that you guys have.
I appreciate you so much, Corbin, and we'll definitely have you back in a few months with some updates on your projects. And yeah,
Look
we
forward to
really
it.
appreciate everyone listening. You've been listening to two creative guys talking AI.
Thank you for watching. I'm Brian.
And I'm Rosh.
And if you haven't liked and subscribed yet, what are you waiting for?
And if you want to hear more about AI for the creative, check into the Creative AI Show every Monday on this YouTube channel, as well as your favorite podcast location.
Where we're two creative guys talking AI.